August 5th, 1962. Los Angeles, 3 in the morning. A woman lies still, a telephone receiver in her hand. Beside her, empty bottles. Many bottles. The official report was signed within 48 hours. Case closed. But here is what that report never mentioned. The security personnel near her home were not present that night. Her private diaries vanished before investigators arrived. The telephone records from her final hours were seized by someone for some reason. That reason has never been made public. Her name was Norma Jean Mortensen. The world knew her as Marilyn Monroe. And what happened in that house that night remains one of the darkest unsolved mysteries of the 20th century. Stay with us, because what you are about to hear has never been told quite like this. We think we know her. The white dress, the blonde hair, the smile the whole world saw. But behind that image was a different woman entirely. Intelligent, troubled, and dangerous to those who stood too close to her. She read Dostoevsky. She attended philosophy lectures. She wrote poetry in private notebooks that she kept hidden from everyone around her. She was not simply an actress. She was a woman who observed everything, who remembered everything, who wrote everything down. And that is precisely where the story becomes dark. Because Marilyn Monroe moved in circles that very few people ever enter. She sat at tables where decisions were made. She was present in rooms where words were spoken that were never meant to leave those walls. She knew things she was never supposed to know. And the people who shared those things with her eventually remembered that. 1962, America stands on the edge. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War, a nation holding its breath, all in at the very center of that tension. President John F.R. Kennedy. Marilyn knew him very well. On the 19th of May, 1962, she stepped onto a stage at Madison Square Garden in a shimmering dress that left the audience speechless, and sang "Happy Birthday" to the President of the United States. The room fell silent. This was not simply a performance. It was a signal. Open, bold, reckless. 80 days later, she was gone. But that is not all. After John, there was his brother, Robert Kennedy, the Attorney General of the United States, the second most powerful man in the country. People close to Marilyn said she was deeply devoted to Robert, that she believed he would stand beside her, that she spoke of a future together. She spoke about it openly, to friends, to staff, to people who should never have heard those words. And then, Robert Kennedy stopped returning her calls, completely, suddenly, without a single word of explanation. She attempted to reach him through the Department of Justice directly. She was turned away. She wrote letters. They went unanswered. She was desperate, confused. And in the weeks that followed, something around her began to shift. People she trusted began to distance themselves. Conversations became guarded, and the feeling that she was being watched grew stronger with every passing day. Here's a fact that many people do not know. The FBI maintained a file on Marilyn Monroe. Director J. Edgar Hoover personally oversaw this case. Personally, the file contained more than 100 pages, surveillance notes, wiretap transcripts, detailed agent observations going back years. Why would the FBI dedicate that level of attention to an actress? The answer is straightforward. She was close to the president. She was close to his brother, which meant she may have been present for conversations that touched on matters of national importance. She may have heard things that could not be allowed to surface, but there was something else. Marilyn kept a notebook, small, red. She carried it everywhere. Inside, names, dates, places, conversations she had witnessed, details she had quietly recorded over months and years. That notebook vanished on the night everything changed. Detective Jack Clemens, the first officer to arrive at the scene, later stated in a recorded interview, "When I walked into that house, someone had already been there. Things were being removed, something was being cleared away, but officially, no one was present." No one was present. Then who was there, and what were they taking? August 4th, 1962, a Saturday evening in Los Angeles. Now look carefully at the details, because the details do not add up. The ambulance was called at approximately 3 in the morning, but the time recorded by the medical examiner placed the moment everything changed significantly earlier. Somewhere around midnight, 3 hours passed. 3 hours, and no one reached out for help. Why? The official account described 50 tablets of a powerful sedative called Nembutal, enough to be devastating. But the pathologist who examined her found no trace of those tablets in her system, not a fragment, not a residue. They were not taken that way, so how did they enter her system? That question was never answered. Then there are the telephone records. That night, Marilyn made a significant number of calls. This is documented. Witnesses confirmed it. But the records of those specific calls disappeared. The telephone company later confirmed that the documents covering the communications from that address on that night had been seized. By whom? Unknown. Under what authority? Unknown. For what purpose? Unknown. A neighbor named Lionel Grandy stated clearly that he observed an ambulance parked outside her home as early as midnight, nearly 3 hours before the official emergency call was placed. His statement was recorded, and then, quietly disregarded. Marilyn kept diaries. Her psychoanalyst, Dr. Ralph Greenson, confirmed this in private correspondence that surfaced years later. In those diaries, she recorded everything. Her meetings with those in power, the conversations she had witnessed, the promises that were made to her, the moments she could not share with anyone else. On the night everything changed, the diaries were gone, her personal red notebook gone, her private correspondence gone. What was written in those pages? We do not know, we may never know, but her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, the woman who lived in that house with her, gave a deeply unusual interview more than 20 years after that night. She admitted something she had never said before, that on that night she was awake, that she heard sounds coming from Marilyn's room as early as midnight, that she could see light beneath the closed door, but she did not enter. She waited. She said she simply waited. Why would a person living under the same roof hear sounds in the middle of the night, see light beneath a door, and choose not to enter? What was she waiting for? What did she already know? Eunice Murray carried every answer with her. She left this world quietly in 1994. More than 60 years have passed. Marilyn Monroe became a symbol, an icon, a legend the entire world recognizes. But behind the legend stands a woman, real, alive, frightened, a woman who told close friends in the final weeks of her life, "I am afraid, I cannot explain it, but I am afraid." A woman who reached out to people on that last night, not asking for anything dramatic, simply asking to talk, to have a voice nearby, to not be alone. No one came. Her final call has never been identified. The records no longer exist. The number, unknown. Who was she calling at the very end? What did she say? Did anyone hear her? The FBI file on Marilyn Monroe was partially released to the public, only in 1982, 20 years after that night. But significant portions of that file remain sealed to this day. Why would documents concerning a woman who left this world 60 years ago still require classification? What is written in those remaining pages? What is considered too sensitive, too dangerous, too inconvenient, to be seen by the public even now? We do not know. Marilyn Monroe rests quietly at Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, just meters from a busy street. Every single day, someone brings flowers. Every single day, someone stands at that simple marble stone in silence and wonders what really happened that night in that house, in that silence, which arrived too quickly, too completely, too conveniently for those who remained behind. The truth about Marilyn Monroe exists somewhere, in folders still marked restricted, in the memories of people who carried it silently to the end, in pages that someone holds and says nothing. But the truth has a way of finding the light, sooner or later, no matter how long it takes, no matter how carefully it was hidden. It always does,